All right. Looks like we're doing well here. Okay. Um, it's Ed, and just letting you know that we are live from iTink Studios today. Darrell wasn't feeling up to doing the show today, so we're sending love to him. I'm just waiting for our guest, the amazing Wayne Manning, to join us, and then we will get started. Yes. It is always an exciting adventure when life throws curveballs. I'm just getting this posted around the Facebook and such so that others can see it. Make sure that's working. All right. See here. See here. Gotta remember to record the audio. Share that. Okay, that's done. Okay, that's on. Let's see what's going on here. Wayne Manning, we're just waiting, standing by for those of you who are on YouTube. If you haven't tuned in yet to YouTube, well, then you won't be hearing me because this will not be included in the episode. We have a great show. I am actually in my wife's studio in the front of our house here in Santa Monica, where she makes everything from hats to handbags to curtains to pillows out of vintage material. Let me see if I can get Wayne Manning on the line here. How are you? Okay, I don't see a link yet. Oh, I didn't come your way. Let me resend it to you. Let's take a look. I'm already live on the what's it called, on the YouTube, talking to folks. Well, what I'm assuming are folks out there while I'm getting the show set up. So let me put in your name, Wayne Manning. Put in the link. I'm just going to put show in the subject. Let's see here. Tell me if it comes. Appreciate your patience, Wayne. This is an exciting adventure in faith, as always. Yeah, man. I'm super excited to have you on today. It's either an adventure or it's nothing. Amen to that, man. Amen. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, sir. All right, let's see if I could see Wayne. I think I see Wayne coming through here. Hey, we got our lids on.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
You sound great and you look great, and I am super appreciative of you being here.
Gotcha.
In a moment, I'll set up the show, but before we do that, would you mind helping the cause by saying a little prayer to bless the show before we start?
Absolutely. And so let's agree, you and I, with each other, with everybody who's with us today, and those who'll be with us in the future on the recording, that this is an opportunity to come together in joy and enthusiasm and imagining what it can be like for us in our lives as we move forward, ever willing to be a blessing and to be blessed. And we thank you, Spirit, that this is so. Amen.
Amen. All right. So if you'll turn off your camera and mute yourself for a moment, then I might bring you in a little quicker than usual this week because
Sure.
it is just me. There's no filling in for Darrell Fazaro, the legend. Um, I'm just gonna make sure we're looking good. Oh, there we go. All right. And I got to record the audio onto. Should I do it on the computer? I'll do it onto the cloud like I always do. All right. Here we go. Actually, I like to start with some sunglasses. All right. Welcome to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. This week it's just me, Ed, where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes. I'm Ed, and we're broadcasting today live from iTink Studios in beautiful downtown Santa Monica, and we have a great show. Sending love to Darrell. He just had some tension kind of headache and neck situation, so as we speak, I have no doubt he's already back on top, doing what Darrell Fazaro does, which I'm grateful for. Today's show is called What Are You Rehearsing Again with Reverend Wayne Manning. I added again because we have done a show before called What Are You Rehearsing and Nursing. So today, what are you rehearsing again? Because we do tend to repeat the same patterns, just basically how consciousness works, unless we start inserting something new. And then we start rehearsing again, but now we're rehearsing positive things. So today's show's called What Are You Rehearsing Again with Reverend Wayne Manning. Your imagination makes the conditions and experiences of your life and affairs. Our only limitation lies in the negative use of imagination. Imagination can be considered a rehearsal for the future scenarios of our lives. What are you rehearsing? Our imagination is determined by where we put our trust. Are you trusting more in fear or in God? On this episode, Darrell and Ed, today it's Ed and Wayne, we'll share how a lively faith directs our imagination toward our heart's desire. And during the second segment, Wayne Manning will join the show. He's an affirmative Imagineer who will spark our imagination with his own wisdom and with today's reading from, I believe it's from Joyce Kramer, which is Charged Up, which is really, really important that we all feel charged up. I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon folks. Everyone who out there who's contributing to the show at patreon.com/funniest thing. We really appreciate it. It's just been a huge blessing and allows us to continue to do this with much greater ease and just continue to spread the joyous word. Plus, I wanted to give a shout out to tithing, circulating your money. Like even if you're not doing that in any way yet and you haven't experienced the joy of it, wherever you do it, find something that you regularly give to that inspires you, and just watch how when you circulate things, circulate money, circulate your energy or joy, it always comes back magnified and multiplied. For those of you on Patreon, you know that we do a 4 p.m. on Tuesdays. We do a 4 p.m. Prosperity Zoom, which has been amazing because we all need to keep recharging and being reminded as the week goes on. This is not like a one-stop shop where I read something and then for the rest of my life, I'm good. Or I go to even once a week, I hear the message and then I'm good. I have to practice it every day. So the Tuesday Prosperity Zoom is just another one of those opportunities, like Nancy Norman's Thursday Infinite Prosperity class, which you can find at unityjoyoflife.org. That's also at 4 p.m. Pacific or 4 a.m. Pacific on unityjoyoflife.org. And it's just another opportunity to check in and ask yourself, what am I rehearsing? And you know what you're rehearsing by the way you feel. Feeling really does not lie. If you want to send us anything, by the way, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Shout out to our chief engineer on the audio plane. His name is Jeff Comfort, and each week he takes us right into the comfort zone. All right, so where do I want to start? I made a bunch of notes this week, but yesterday I realized, I'm likely going to be doing this show as a solo act until I bring Wayne in. So better make some notes and think about what I want to share. And the other reason it's really good to write down any kind of miracles or funniest things that happen to you. I was reading Emma Curtis Hopkins recently, or earlier this week, and it's called Scientific Christian Mental Practices, I believe is the name of the book. And she was, one of the key elements she was saying to living this stuff is to write down when it works for yourself so that it keeps it active and alive, and it tells your subconscious mind where you are putting your faith. It's so important. Again, you know where you're putting your faith by the way you feel and the results you're getting. So living this way gets us out of fear. Gets me out of fear on a regular basis. Fear sucks. Literally, it sucks the energy. It is like driving with the e-brake on. This energy is always flowing. It's always attempting to flow, and it's only good. There's only one energy. There's good energy, and then there's the resistance to good energy, which comes forth as feeling like bad energy. But one of the principles of this way of living is that there's only good. There's not good and evil. And we know when we start to feel wonky and things start to get off the rails. This is another Emma Curtis Hopkins, which I am so grateful I found that book at the Goodwill. It's the same book that the Fillmores read. You can read it. I take my time. I'll read like a paragraph or a page and digest what she's saying. But it is profound because she basically says when things start to get wonky, it's because we put our faith in two powers, good and evil, or good love and fear. The beauty of it is, with our conscious mind, when we start to affirm what we believe, what we know, what we want to turn into a belief, which is, for me, there's only one power, and it's love. There's only one power, and it's good, and it's always good. And we have to be insistent about it on a regular basis because our subconscious mind is listening to us. It's also telling us all the things that we told it to believe in the past or that we allowed to become our beliefs. It keeps projecting them back to us. And if we don't realize that our voice, the one that is speaking to you now, the one that you chose to listen to this show, that voice has the power of decision. When you start to make decisions on a regular basis about what you believe, and this is where it goes back to writing it down helps. When a miracle happens or like a divine order is at work, write it down. So you're telling your subconscious mind, this is what I believe now. And you just keep at it, and and it just keeps getting better and better. And because living from fear leads only to this. I was thinking about this earlier. It leads to only doing things that might get me out of the fear or might get me something that I'm really afraid I can't have. So it becomes suffocating and selfish. Whereas living from this security that God has my back, that there's only one power and it's good, that I don't have to do anything to earn it, that I no longer believe in any of the stories that are based on me doing something and then becoming good, me doing something and then becoming happy, me getting something. All of that is hogwash. As soon as I start affirming that I am an ambassador of God's love, like Darrell says, a secret agent of God's love, that I come fully equipped, when we start thinking this way, we see evidence of it immediately. And the other way does not work. The only way to get where we really want to go is to realize that we are already there. We chose to come here to be a blessing, to be a light unto the world. We chose that. I feel that in my bones. I chose to come here. So when we're living from that kind of sense of security, that we are enough, not only that we're enough, but that we are ambassador of God's love, that we are gifted in whatever we're choosing to do because we are just sharing the gifts of Spirit wherever we go, it changes everything. Because now, when I'm going through my day as a teacher, I'm so full of joy and generosity of spirit that I just help the person next to me. I'll drop what I'm doing for a moment and help them. I will see a kid who's not necessarily on my caseload or what have you, and I help them. And what happens is my day becomes this loving and generous experience, and then it starts to become reflected back to me, and the generosity. Like I started a couple years ago when I really got into this stuff. If I'm out getting a coffee, I get it for one or two of my coworkers. And now those same coworkers or other coworkers will have started bringing me coffee. And it's funny because the other day, my coworker brought me a coffee, and I was feeling a little bit between two powers, and I left some money for her. And then I realized, wait, I'm always giving her coffee, and this is her way of saying thank you and bringing me one. So I texted her later and said, okay, no more tips, because I had joked. I had texted her and said, I'm going to leave you a tip, or I left you a tip, I said. And she said, you didn't have to do that. And then I realized, yeah, what am I thinking? So I told her, all right, here's the rules. No more tips, because it disrupts the flow of genuine generosity between us, because we all look out for each other, and it feels good to give to others. So I wanted to share a couple things. So this is really about, what are you rehearsing again? Because there is a distinct difference between I'm getting by and I'm using these spiritual principles. They're helping, they're helping me get by. I'm getting some better results. I'm not getting into as much trouble or banging my head up against things like I used to. But there's a difference between I am rehearsing my dreams on a regular basis because I am worthy of those things. Because when we look at it this way, we write down the evidence of everything that's going well, and we start to notice it more. And then we start to notice that there's always a choice. Am I plugging into the negative projections of fear, which are never true, mind you? Or am I doing my job to tend to my thinking? That's my business. My thinking is my business, not anyone else's thinking. My thinking is my business. I had a profound moment in class this week when I work in special education, but I go into general education classrooms. And this year, I'm so blessed. Every year, better and better, because I live this way. This year, I'm only working with 5th grade teachers, which allows me to spend time both with their students in small groups and going in the classroom. So I'm really part of the community. And so I'm sitting in a class like I used to, always, like I've done for years, helping out. And I don't always know what I'm going to do. I'm just there to let Spirit guide me. How am I going to help? And so I'm noticing this teacher, Nicole, who I work with, is just such a loving presence and so darn good at what she does. It's just outlandish. And I'm even happier to say that now, because this was one of the times where I didn't miss it. Because in the past, I would sit in that room and compare myself to Nicole, and all of my subconscious mind all of my creative thinking would be wrapped up in, I'm not good enough, I couldn't do that, oh my God, then I couldn't breathe, and then it would make it impossible nearly for me to do my job. This time I caught my thinking and stopped rehearsing, comparing myself, and started saying, I'm the best at what I do. I play a key role on this amazing team, and I'm so grateful to be a part of Nicole's amazing classroom. And it made me so high, and it just led me to one inspired idea after the next. So the session ended up being so satisfying and fulfilling, not just for me, but for all of my students. And it was night and day. And then the beauty of it was, the next day or the day after, when I went back in Nicole's classroom, because I was so high off of what she was doing, that I told my wife, Nicole does this amazing stuff, and I shared it. When I saw Nicole the next time, I told her, I was raving about you to my wife the other night because you're an amazing teacher. She lit up, which just gave back energy to her. Oh my God, stop trying to compare and change some nightmare that's not real. What a revelation. Work on my own thinking. That's my job, is to work on my own thinking. I'll give you one more example of how I used this week. So I had this situation, and it's amazing. I wrote it down. I've been using this Abraham Hicks technique, which is take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, and put God does and I do, or God's responsible for and I, like for your day, right? Because your mind the old worried and subconscious mind, if you're looking on YouTube, you can see I have this list. And this is actually from the story I'm about to tell. So I'm working with a kid who he has had a penchant for not doing the work he's supposed to do. He's really smart, but he's also got an incredible will to not do what he's being asked. So a lot of people, he wears them down and they get tired, and then he kind of has a once they get tired and they get into not just tired, but they get into feeling powerless. Then they don't have any joy to inspiration the lad. So what I did, I needed this assistant who works with him because I was up in a room and I had a Spanish half hour. I had to cover a half hour of one of my classes, or I wanted to push in and help in this class. But during that time, they're speaking pure Spanish, which I don't do. So on another day, I wrote God does and I do, and I wrote God's job was to find the perfect assistants to fill all the needs, and so I found this assistant who was working with this boy. She's now gets a half hour break from her schedule to work with these students that she loves to do, and she speaks Spanish and she's blessing them, and I'm getting to bless this kid. So I love kids like this because I love trying to figure out what game are we playing and like how can we find common ground and move forward, and how can we blow the doors off of what other people think is possible for this kid, right? So I'm sitting there, and his class, there's this whole schedule snafu. He has a sub. His class is at recess. He's sitting inside on a computer. Now, if you work with kids or you have kids or you might know this already, when a kid is plugged into a screen and it's no fault of their own, it's really difficult to get them to do something else because the screen is pulling them in. It's this virtual, there's so much stimulation, right? So I'm sitting there going, I want him to go outside for his sake, so he can run around, and he loves being outside, but he's so hooked into the computer. So I started talking to him about the game he's playing, and I wrote down on my list, what does God do? What's my job? Relax, breathe, and bless it all. Do what's in front of me. Relax and bless this student. Bless the teachers. Just relax and bless. God's job is to inspire this young man to go out to recess, right? So there's another teacher standing next to me, and she's had it up to here with this young guy. She thinks he's stuck, and she's kind of grumbling. And then she asked me, what are you doing? And I told her, instead of being afraid, I told her, I just make this little list. What's my job and what's God's job? And saying it out loud affirmed it even more. But the miracle was, or the divine order was, I put on a timer for 2 minutes. My old subconscious mind is going, how's this going to work? How he's not going to want to come off the computer, blah, blah, blah. But I don't put my faith in that voice. I put my faith in God. In God, all things are possible, and it's always good. Same God that created him created me. And I know he likes recess. What was crazy, the timer went off, and I said, hey, buddy, time for recess. You can come back here after recess, and I'll let you finish up what you're doing. He took his headphones off, smiled, shared an exchange with me, and went out the door. The teacher behind me, her jaw was dropped. When I mentioned it later, she said, I don't know how you did it. And I said, I didn't do it. God did it. And I'm not afraid to say that anymore. That's why I'm writing it down. Like, God does the work. And I was noting in Emma Curtis Hopkins, she was saying, like, if you're getting healings, which I've been getting healings in my students and in myself for years, 20 plus years, 25 years, 27 years. But because I wasn't writing down and fully glorifying God and telling my subconscious mind, this is what's working and this is what I believe, my subconscious mind would keep going back to the old, I can't tell people this is what I'm doing. It was ruling me. The fear was ruling me. Now that I've started writing it down, because she was saying, if you're getting healings and those people aren't on fire and don't want to learn more or aren't telling other people about it, it's because you're not writing it down and owning it within your own mind so that it can radiate out and be a blessing and a positive influence upon the world. So I've started doing that, and I just cannot wait to see what happens. So another miracle was yesterday I found this incredible book in a library. It's called Miracle Power for Infinite Riches by Joseph Murphy, who lived in Orange County, not far. That's where I grew up, down in Orange County. He had a ministry down there. Our friend Nancy Norman knew him. I'm just going to read something from this book because, of course, it was the perfect book. Again, it's called Miracle Power for Infinite Riches. It is a miracle power. This stuff blows the doors off of whatever else I was thinking before. It's incredible. So he says, a salesman discovers the riches of self-confidence. He says, a young man who was selling land to me, said to me, he was selling land, said to me, the economic conditions are bad, times are slow, business is bad. He was giving attention to lack and limitation. Naturally, he experienced a lack of sales. He had a sense of inadequacy and timidity. I suggested to him that if he made it a point to suggest constructive statements many a time a day to his subconscious mind, everything would change. My secretary typed out a card for him with the following statements, which he was instructed to use 12 or 13 times a day. I have perfect faith in God's supply and in God's guidance. I know that all who buy land are prospered and blessed. Infinite intelligence attracts buyers to me who have the money, who want the land, and who rejoice in its possession. I am blessed and they are blessed. I am strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Divine activity and immediate perfect results now take place in my life, and I give thanks for the miracles in my life. By carrying this card with him and repeating these truths frequently, he restored his confidence in his sales ability, and he began to sell, prosper, and expand along all lines. He said to me at the Wilshire Ebel Theater, where I gave public lectures, miracles are happening in my life. I sold land to the value of $500,000 this week in the valley. God's blessings never cease. Open your mind and heart and receive all the wealth you could want for yourself. So you might be working hard and doing all the things, but if you're not affirming the right story about what's going on, you might well be blocking the very results that you desire. So keep that in mind. I want to shout out to Sue Hodgson, listening from Canada. Great to see you and know you're with us. Marianne Williamson has a book called A Year of Miracles. This stuff is amazing. I just can't tell you. It's so great. I've experienced physical healings this week as well. Stuff is amazing. I increase my faith in miracles today. Looking around me, there are reasons for me to believe in the power of my problems and the problems of the world. But I place my faith in miracles instead. There is no problem that love will not solve. My knowing this, attesting to this, and practicing this makes me a miracle worker. I use my mind to affirm that in God all things are possible. I leave no room in my mind for doubt that this is so. With this refusal, I increase the possibility that a miracle will occur. The denial, it's so important. Tell your subconscious mind, hey, I don't believe that anymore. Who's telling you who you are? Whenever I get in a rut, I think to myself, who's telling me that this is who I am? Who's telling me I can't change? Who's telling me to do this way? And you find out it's just your subconscious mind, and now it's your job to tell your subconscious mind who you are, but it's got to be based on principle. So do your morning routine, read the books. Alan Cohn from Today in A Deep Breath of Life said, I'm just going to read a few lines, and we're going to get on to the break and bring in Wayne Manning. We might not even take a break. I'm so excited today. So he says, you know you're in your right job when you have a sneaky feeling you should be paying someone for the opportunity to do it. While this does not mean you need to pay to do it, indeed the universe will pay you to be in your right place. It points to the truth that right livelihood blesses the giver of a service as much as the receiver. Prosperity is not a level of income, it is a consciousness. If you are happy, productive, and giving service in a profession, you are living in the abundance consciousness. Oh, I found another book in this library, and it's called Un-F blank CK Your Worth. And it's all about changing your sense of worth with regards to money. Not necessarily my cup of tea as a book, but there was something in there called psychic income, which I guess is a real term used in finance, and it's actually refers to the joy we get out of things. So when we start rehearsing being the lead role in our own life, start rehearsing you being the amazing lead role in your life. Start treating yourself to the little things. The examples that are given of psychic income is when, instead of being cheap, you pay the $20 to take a lift to the concert because it makes it so much easier to get in and out. The value of that experience of how good you feel is worth it. The other day, a teacher of mine, we were at a meeting, and it was going to go late, and he had to drive far after school, so he was going to order coffee to be delivered, iced coffee, and it was like $15 with the charges and such. And I saw him hesitating, and I go, dude, if the feeling you get makes you feel as good as I think it might, it's worth paying for the coffee to be delivered. And the funny thing is, as soon as he said yes to that, the person next to him turned to him and said, "Hey, I got a free delivery that you can use." So he just had to say yes. The price immediately came down. 10 minutes later, I saw him walk in with the most joyous grin on his face and a giant iced coffee. So rehearse the best. Rehearse the best. My son has been doing that, and he just got his first post college job, and he got an amazing salary. All of the stuff he was dreaming about was offered to him, and I can see it. He rehearses it, he doesn't reject it. He has childlike faith about what's possible. This stuff works. Okay, so all I'm going to do is 3 breaths, 3 little breaths, and then we're going to bring in Wayne Manning. So let's take a deep breath to clear our mind. It's time to stop cursing and start rehearsing. It's time to stop cursing, Ed, and start rehearsing. It's time to stop cursing and start rehearsing. All right. All right. All right. Obviously, this is a much mellower episode than usual, but thank you for hanging on. Coming up next, joining the show is the affirmative Imagineer, Reverend Wayne Manning, who will spark our imagination with wisdom in today's reading, Charged Up. Thank you for being with us here on Funniest Thing with Wayne and Ed today. We're live over here at iTink Studios in downtown Santa Monica today. And how are you doing today, Wayne?
If I was doing any better, I'd be twins.
Oh
Doing
my
great.
God.
Thanks.
I don't know if the world is ready for 2 Wayne Mannings, man.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Well, that's why we come. That's why we practice this stuff, because there is only one Wayne Manning. We want to make sure we know who Wayne knows who Wayne is, and Ed knows who Ed is, and we're letting our light shine.
That's right. Or at
So,
least take really good guesses, you know.
yes. So, yeah, you've been listening to the first segment.
I have.
So, you have some thoughts on this subject for today?
Yeah, just I love the use of the word Imagineering, because that's what we are. We all of us are Imagineers,
Yes.
and we have an awesome power to imagine. We can get ourselves in trouble by imagining things
Yes.
that can go wrong, things that aren't working, and
Yeah.
we put a lot of energy into reinforcing what's wrong and what's not working and what's missing. And we can imagine some pretty awful stuff. And
Yeah.
then no wonder that becomes our experience, because that's exactly what we're creating in that moment, where what you're talking about is, and that's a particular kind of rehearsal, rehearsing all the nasties.
Right.
And what we're looking for is the another skill we all have is the power to shift
Yes.
our attention from that stuff, which is it doesn't just happen. It takes practice. It takes consciousness. It takes an awareness. Like you said earlier, you were about to go down a particular path with your colleague and you didn't. You caught yourself and you shifted
Yes.
to imagining something far more useful and empowering. And that's exactly what we're all about. From every moment is imagining the promise and possibility that's all around us. It occurs to me that, you know, we talk about miracles because we experience them as almost impossible, one of a kind. You know, it's out of the blue. It's that. It's probably more like miracles are everyday occurrences that we aren't catching. We aren't
Yep.
available to them.
Yep.
They're always there,
Yep.
but we're not making ourselves open to them because we're imagining something else. You know,
That's so true. Yeah, and I know Charles Fillmore said there are no miracles, just to point out that fact that it's actually just divine order. It's happening all the time, and
yeah.
it's just our job to tap into it. And I like that.
I love the whole metaphor that we fundamentally have two voices. that occur inside of us. Uh, One is called our voice of wisdom,
Uh-huh.
which in the Bible is referred to as the still small voice. Another
Right.
voice that we teach in the work that I do uh, is it's called monkey mind. When monkey mind is speaking in us, and that's an old Buddhist term that symbolizes a monkey swinging, from doubt to worry and back to doubt again. You know how they
Ah,
do.
yes.
And guess which voice is the loudest?
Right.
Oh man. And it's difficult to hear the still small voice when monkey mind is running rampant. And so again, it's, as you say, it's a matter of catching when we're having a monkey mind conversation
Yes.
and shifting our focus to the voice of wisdom. The monkey mind is still there, so we don't have to get rid of it. We just shift away from it so that it's no
Yeah.
longer as loud. It gets subdued. We throw it a banana, it
Yes.
subdues it, and then we can hear that still small voice that's very calm, very peaceful, very neutral in its emotional content. It just tells us what is so.
Yes. Well, can I tell you something which I appreciate about what you're saying is that I've heard
Sure.
monkey mind, but what you're saying really helps clarify. I've never heard the part that it's swinging between doubt and fear. And that really, like this week, I came down with a bug on Sunday. And then, but I've been using the Emma Curtis Hopkins. Like, I'm going to really try this. Like, I don't believe in sickness, I only believe in health. Like, I'm not saying that there's not this condition, and I'm not even blaming myself, but I'm acknowledging my subconscious um, role in like attracting this condition, and I'm letting go of anything about it that's defining me.
Mhm.
I am an expression of God, which is only good. So what I was gonna say is, so I was when it first kind of came on, I was having trouble sleeping because the monkey mind was using this as an opportunity to swing like fast between doubt and fear. And I heard the voice of wisdom telling me, peace, be still, know that I am God. And someone recently reminded me of something, which was just put your hand on your chest and maybe like your lower belly and just say, God bless you. When the monkey mind's gone, God bless you. I love you. Peace, be still. And so that occurred to me when I was in bed one night. All the symptoms were like kind of flaring, and my monkey mind was going. My legs were restless. And I just said, you know what? I'm going all in on this. God bless you. I love you. Peace, be still. I I fell sound asleep, woke up with no symptoms, and my legs and my body and my mind were whole. Now I had to apply this, I would go
Mhm.
like the symptoms a while later might come back, but like it accelerated the healing, but in the moment I was completely well, not like kind of well, completely well, and it was like you said, because that monkey mind, it's like an unruly class.
Yeah.
If I'm not plugged into my wisdom, and those monkey mind in the class is going like that, and I start trying to match the volume with the volume, I'm screwed. Like I just become another
Yeah.
monkey in the tree. But if I get
Exactly.
still and know that I am God, I am leader, I am the light in this room, they will slowly stop swinging, and the whole universe starts to work together to help them remember who they are, help me remember who I am, and then we get on with it. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, you could say that monkey mind has the emotional intelligence of like a 5 to 7 year old. It isn't universally true, but typically
Right.
5 to 7 year olds are all about themselves.
Mm,
What's in it for me? It's a natural stage of growth. But monkey mind is like that permanently. And so what we're arguing with a 5 to 7 year old when we have that internal conversation, and we're not going to win it.
yep.
We're not going to win that argument. So shifting to promise and possibility is the phrase I love. Shifting to, if I weren't thinking about that stuff, what would I be thinking about right now?
Wow.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
I love what you said too about it's useful to write this stuff down. Because that's another way, there's something sort of magical happens, and not even on a computer keyboard, but with a pen on paper. Something happens when we are writing stuff down. I've even written stuff down with my opposite hand, my non-preferred hand.
Yes,
Something
yes,
even different happens there. The connections it makes in our brain and what we're experiencing and understanding. But I was thinking about, it's a lot of people use what's called a gratitude journal. You know
yes,
about those. In the
yes.
evening, you sit down, you write three things before you go to bed. Write down three things for which I'm grateful. If I
Yep.
can't think of anything, say to Monkey Mind, thank you for sharing, and write down three things anyway. So I
Yes.
was thinking, what if we did a funniest thing journal and write down the funniest thing happened today?
Yes.
And
Yes.
write that down because it's for one thing, if it's the funniest thing that happened, we're already grateful for it because it's something memorable and
Yes.
it's a coincidence or it's something that really grabbed us. And so
Right.
write it down because that reinforces the underpinnings that we're creating so that the thing is, am I ever going to stop having monkey mind? Probably not. But what I can do is shorten the reaction time I have to it and shift. And every time I practice that, my response time gets less and less in terms of the gap that I spend in monkey mind versus shifting. And so
Yeah.
writing things down is a way to rehearse that. I'm rehearsing on paper and I can see it. I can read it next week and remember what I was doing last week.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's a good tool, I think.
I love that. The funniest thing journal. Like Darrell
Funniest
just
thing
got done
journal.
teaching a journaling class where he was talking about this type of stuff where he recommends doing a backwards calendar. Instead of filling what you're going to do, fill each day with all the stuff that got accomplished and all the miracles that happened. So this is the same kind of idea. And I
Yep.
guarantee if you get yourself to write three, you're going to find three more and three more. Like once I get on
Boom.
a roll, it's just like my whole book gets so full because it really is. I think you said it. It's like, what would I be thinking? And this is one of the things that, um, I don't know. I used to be more caught up in like the tricks and the trying this what I'm about to say, like it was too boring for me. But now, one of the things that helped me, I was feeling one of those middle of the night wake ups in when I was not feeling well. The monkey mind's going, "You'll never get well. This is getting worse. This is one of those things." And I just sat up and I got into my voice of wisdom, and I'm learning more and more to have faith in it because that monkey mind's telling you nothing's going to stop me. It's not going to. But I sat there and I said, this isn't even metaphysics. This is just the truth. I always get better if I don't do anything. I
Mm.
get better every time. Like, I mean, it is metaphysics, but I like played the role of this is just no, this is very common sense. I get better every time. And then I started thinking, I can't wait. I started to remember, oh my God, these are all the things I like to do when I feel better. Oh yeah, I can't wait to go get coffee. I can't wait to go surf. I can't and I started thinking about, like you said, what would I be thinking about if I wasn't thinking these crazy thoughts, I'll never get well. This has come to stay, blah blah blah. Those are all it's like I used to say it's like fear puts on a lab coat in your mind or a doctor's jacket and
Yeah.
pretends to be a doctor, and it's
Yeah.
just some like deranged monkey that's came in and put the doctor's coat on, and it's almost like an old
Perfect.
slapstick comedy, and is telling you all this crazy stuff. It's like just because it's wearing a doctor's coat does not make it a doctor.
That's right. That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, what about the reading that we sent you? Did you see the Joyce Kramer reading?
I did.
Let's get into that.
Joyce was one of our great Unity teachers and had a terrific ministry in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And
Right,
she
right.
was she was one of the, I don't know, she's one of like the for me one of the at least top 10 people to do this work. And that
Wow.
includes some, Eric Butterworth and people like that. Joyce was in that league for me. And so she's talking about having our mind charged. And she said it this way, first with a wonderful affirmation. The quickening, vitalizing, free-flowing enthusiasm of spirit is working in me mightily, filling me with newness of life. And she says, charge your mind today with the quality of enthusiasm. There is no need for life to be dull, monotonous, and tiresome. It is degrading to be lazy and indifferent about life. No matter
Yes.
how you feel at the moment, you can stir up enthusiasm, for it is already within you. To do so, affirm over and over today, I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do those things that ought to be done by me. That's worth reading again. I am alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do those things that ought to be done by me. Be brave. Commit these statements to memory. Use them and watch what happens. Today is an ideal time to charge yourself with enthusiasm. You will feel nearer to God and to others. You will come alive and be happy. Her scripture reference is simply two words from 1 Thessalonians, rejoice always.
Wow.
Not just sometimes, not just
Wow.
not just when it's fun. Rejoice
Right.
always, you know.
Yeah. I love how Charles made an appearance in there as well.
Oh yeah. Do you know that story?
I'd love to hear it again. If I don't know that I've heard it in its fullness.
Well, his practice was to work at a standing desk. He could stand up and just walk up to it. It was a sloped
Okay.
thing, and with a big like a newsprint pad on it, because
Wow.
they were publishers as well as all the other things they did, and there's always newsprint around. So he had a big newsprint pad and
Yeah.
markers,
Right.
and he walked up there. He was in his 94th year. He hadn't had his 94th birthday yet, but he was in that year. Walked up to that thing one morning, picked up a marker, and wrote that down. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm,
Wow.
and I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. I, I want to be able to walk up to the board when I'm 94, you
Yeah,
know.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
right.
but it's an amazing, that was his sort of take on life, the whole time he was alive.
Yeah, I believe it. I heard the little audio of him speaking and sharing that and saying like I'm 94, but I'm getting better every day at practicing this
Yeah,
stuff, you know?
yeah.
It's amazing. And this goes into the humility to recognize how powerful we are. Not by our own, not by anything we have to do but by the basis of we've come into this universe to be an expression of the divine. I recently heard someone say like, who am I to like affect the fabric of the universe and have that kind of, and I just love these teachings because I'll tell you who you are. You're God incarnate. You are an expression of God. And fabric, I it stuck out to me because later that day it like stuck with me. Why did this person say that? And I thought to myself, interesting, because I'm sitting here in my wife's studio where so I'm surrounded by vintage fabric right now, so it's perfect.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, well, what is fabric? You don't just accrue fabric and be like, oh my God, I'll never touch the fabric. Who am I to touch the fabric or change the fabric? You have to change it's called fabric because we use fabric to turn it into something. We create things from the fabric. We are here to create things from, this is getting me excited. I know you're a musician. I think you told me that, right?
Yes.
And I'm a musician, and I haven't been creating like new music in a while. I've just been waiting for spirit. I've been learning cover after cover and enjoying the heck out of that because I never went through a period when I was like in my teens where I did covers. I missed
Hmm.
that period of my development. So for 4 years, I've just been doing a lot of that. But lately, I was I love listening to Jerry Seinfeld, comedians in cars getting coffee. I love creative
Yeah.
people talking, creative people who blow the doors off of what is possible. I love hearing them talk about how they do it because most of the time they laugh at the typical things people say you have to do, right? But so I love hearing this stuff. So I've started to get excited again about creating because it just occurred to me, how cool is it to take the fabric of the universe and create something that has never been before? I mean, it's of course it's going to be relative to something that you heard or blah blah blah, but it's still that particular thing, that particular song, that particular interaction you're having with that particular person at Starbucks or at your job has never and will never happen again. You will never have, like not this exact thing. So I am just, when I heard this person say that, I was just like, man, if I can't affect the fabric of the universe, and this stuff isn't even me. Like Charles Fillmore walking up to a pad and writing that is affecting. Like we're talking about it now. Like how long ago did he
Exactly.
write that? And it's
Uh, 30s or 40s. Yeah.
right, and it's inspiring me not as Charles Fillmore, this god. It's Charles Fillmore is a joyful, creative guy who had the gall to take a pen and write that down because it felt good. That's not like some doctrine that's going to be taken serious amongst, like this feels good and it gives me life. And thank God for this coming through me. And I'm going to write this down. And you know how good he must have felt? Like, wow, where did that come
Yeah.
from? I can only imagine how great he felt.
In that moment, it was true for him. That was
Yes,
what he was experiencing, and he was shaping the fabric that way.
dude. Yes. Sizzle with zeal.
Yeah.
When I did what you recommended earlier, which is what would I be thinking? Because sometimes, again, this is like, is this really going to work? All this monkey mind seems to have all the energy and all the control. Is it really going to work for me to just calmly take my attention off of that and just state what's true? Start with statements of truth. This is what Emma Curtis Hopkins, and I've been reading Prove Me Now by Gardner Hunting. He talks about this. It's like, we don't fight with the untruth. We calmly and powerfully just start to remind ourselves of truth. We don't have to fight with the untruth. We'll never win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Calmly and joyfully just start telling anything you remember as true. God is good. There's only one power. It's working right now. The angels will start to whisper in my ear. Will start to whisper in your ear. It's not you as you think of you. I'm talking to listeners, and it's not Ed that I'm thinking of as Ed that's going to do it. It's Ed tapping into this universal Ed, this divine mind, this God that starts to flow. My organs literally start to respond to the new energy that starts to flow because I start to remember who I am. I start to remember all the good that I've experienced. I start to remember all the good I'm going to experience. And it's life-changing, and I believe our organs literally respond completely differently when we tap into that voice of wisdom. And then the monkey mind, it just adds color to life. God, don't try to become a stiff about this stuff. Let yourself be the quirky monkey you are, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But tap into the joy, and don't forget to tap into the large, amazing, infinite you. You're going to tap in eventually. Eventually, we're all leaving this stuff behind.
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting all my chips on the table that we're all going to love this truth because I
Mhm.
believe we live in a loving universe that will simply welcome us back to our wholeness and our awareness of our wholeness when we leave these bodies. I think that's it. Period. End of story.
Well, there's some kind of native intelligence and awareness at the cellular level. And
Yes.
scientists are seeing this more and more. They've done a lot of work with uh, uh, um, control groups, one group who's recovering from surgery and so on, having music available to them, the other
Mm.
group not. And the difference in response times and healing times with music is phenomenally different than without. And so cells
Wow.
are responsive to that sort of thing. Um, One thing about this whole monkey mind does not get aroused, particularly when we use conditional language. It sort of, it's like Teflon. Monkey mind doesn't flare up. And so we could say something like, um, and you were saying something similar earlier. Um, uh, I am in God, and all that God is available to me.
Yes.
If that were true, what would I do next?
Yes.
And then it's all about action because all this stuff, all these insights, all this stuff we're talking about without action
That's
and
right.
physical reality is just an exercise.
That's
It's
right.
just, it's a head trip. But when
That's
it
right.
changes the way we live our lives, when it
That's right.
changes the actions we take, when it changes how we interact with people, when it changes how we interact with money, when it changes
Yes.
how we interact with our health,
Yes.
then results occur. And here's the sweet thing. Uh, it's being said a lot that the universe uh, it's holographic and that we can experience it
Yes.
holographically.
Yes.
And the thing is, and we can prove that sort of to ourselves, when I'm happy, I'm not just happy in part of me, I'm happy all over. My experience in that moment is happiness. And holographically, my whole body, my whole being responds to that.
Yes.
So, in another sense, then when I'm taking action that is useful in one area of my life, I will find all the areas of my life brightening up because of what's happening in the
Yes.
area I just took action in
Yes. Yep.
holographically. So,
Yep. I think that the hologram is a vibrational thing. Like when we switch to a different frequency, the whole vibrate frequency of the whole hologram changes. I this week I've been practicing this, like because of that bug I had. It gave me this like contrast to kind of how those things end up being kind of teachers because it's
mhm.
like so. But all of that is to say that when I walk around school now, what is changing my experience? When I walk around the house, at school, when I'm in my flow, I am saying to myself for no good reason, air quotes,
Yeah,
none of the old reasons I used to use. I am a fantastic teacher. I am here for a reason. I am blessing this campus. And when I do that, people approach me in a different way. And the answers of a great teacher start coming out at me, of me. When I walk around the house and say, I'm a great husband, I'm a great father, I'm a great, whatever, when I'm going surfing, all my interactions are completely different because it's dialing up a very different frequency. Now, the contrast is, and I used to think of this as virtuous, right? Like, I can't say I'm a great teacher. I got to do this, this, and this. What about this? And I didn't realize I was raking myself over the coals
yeah,
again. And it was fear pretending to be an adult. It's like seriousness is fear pretending. It was, if you really look at if I look at what I sometimes was willing to put up with and say, no, that's okay, it's horrible. I would never treat anyone else that way. So
exactly.
cut to the chase. Like, be a great teacher because the kids, I'm inspiring kids now because they want to be inspired by a great teacher. They don't want a schlub who second guesses himself, and neither do I. No one does. It's not real. So by walking around, I was doing this the other day, right? Like I was out on the playground and at it just, and this is the fun time because there's not a lot riding on. I was just like, I'm here to bless this playground. And I'm walking thinking this, I'm a great teacher, I'm blessing this. And I even admit, I don't know how. And I look down, and on the playground of public school, there's a girl that on her t shirt it says audacious faith. And I see some on the back, and I'm like, wow, what does that say on the back? Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith. So I got to have faith. I'm a great teacher because these books are saying I'm divinely created. I am not a schlub. I am divinely created. At some point, I got to take a leap of faith and go, that's what God says. That's what these scriptures say. That's what the Christ message is. Let me try it out. And what do you know? It's not that hard to be a great teacher because I was born to do it. I'm in the right place doing the right thing, and God wants to speak through me to use me as a vessel to bless others. Whatever you're doing out there, start with I am the great. And I don't mean like I'm saying this in my mind. I'm not going out
whatever. But at the
Exactly.
right time, I'll tell someone if I'm really feeling it, if it's going to inspire them, I'll tell them. But it's the inner, what is it? The inner chamber in ourselves where the silent thought happens. That's where that's where I make the changes that then the hologram changes. The whole work on the inside and then the hologram changes. And once the hologram changes, then the inside changes even more. And it just so on and so forth. It's amazing.
Yeah. There's another way the word fearful was used in the Bible when it talked about it's a fearsome thing to fall into the hands of the living God. The translation there is it's an awesome thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And that is what we're all called to do, is to do it, because when we hear about it or read about it, it's someone else's experience that we're hearing about or reading about.
Yes.
The only way to experience it is to do it ourselves, to take that leap of faith. Every time I see that, and I see an image in my mind of Indiana Jones stepping off in the Temple of Doom, I think it was, stepping off into the void, and there was a path under him. He didn't know it. He can only take the leap, and he did. And that's what we're called to do, is take that leap.
Yes.
Without any assurance at all.
That's right.
In real time, any physical assurance that we're going to make it. That's what makes it the leap of faith, is not knowing empirically what the outcome is.
Yeah, because the assurance is front loaded. The assurance comes as the inspired idea. But when we go to take the step, the monkey, like there's another mind that's going to go, how do I know? And you know what? We got to become the joyous little kid that says, I don't. That's why it's fun. Let's go see what happens. We have to become like children to enter the kingdom. That's why it's so not surprising that music, which makes us like children, why does it even matter? Why does it feel so good to hear notes strung together and make words that rhyme? It just does. I don't know why, but it's beautiful and it's amazing. And that's life. And it can be like that for all of us now. And it takes practice. This is a science of living. This is these are methods that must be applied, and you will get results. And you don't apply them because I said so or Wayne said so. You must be listening or watching the show because you already got the assurance. You got the guidance to do it. But there's always going to be the voice. It's going to be like, how do I know? You don't know, Mom. Well, it might be, you don't know. Well, yeah, and I got to say this I got the best mom. Actually, I love my mom because sometimes she listens to the show. And like her audacity and faith is just next level. She's Catholic, devoutly Catholic. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the musician, the teacher, I wouldn't be doing this if I had not been blessed by her, the audacity of her faith, and the audacity of my grandmother's faith, of my mother's mom, and the audacity of my dad's faith and my grandfather's. It just feels good to fully acknowledge, because we can nitpick and blah, blah, blah about who did what, blah, 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 but I would not be me. I would not be teaching. I would not be part of Funniest Thing with Darrell. And Darrell actually reminds me of a younger version of my grandfather at times. Like there's just a spirit to this whole thing and you have a spirit. Like my grandfather was very mystical. He was less religious. He was raised on a farm, but he just had this mystic knowing, and you have that. And I just like being around people because it blows the doors off of the other way for me. I'm sorry, I can't go the other long-winded, short gain route. I want the whole exciting enchilada, and people like you and Joyce Kramer and Charles Fillmore. I mean, we're all in this together. Anyone who dares to step out and share truth, I do believe that the Fillmores, Kramer, Butterworth, they're behind us, because when I leave here, I know I'm going to cheer on anyone else who dares to live this way audaciously. And so hopefully this show and Wayne Manning, and wherever else you're reaching out, go to Nancy Norman, unityjoyoflife.org, go to Unity of Santa Barbara. Wayne, what's the name of your organization?
The school,
Yeah, I'm sorry, the
the,
school.
yeah,
Also remind me. Yeah, go ahead.
the Academy for Coaching Excellence.
That's another
And
resource.
the website is academyforcoachingexcellence.com. Or
Okay, good.
actually, acecoachtraining.com is even better. It's shorter.
Ace Coach Training. Okay.
Acetraining.com.
And it will be in the link to the podcast. I'll have the website, and also after we're done recording, because right now we're live on YouTube, but after the fact, I'll drop in the info, and it'll be there as well for anyone who's watching it later. Let's see who.
I want to wish Darrell really well. You know, the thing I'm missing, when I love his presence, because when Darrell is joyous, it's all over. It exudes from him. When he laughs all over. You know, it's just a great presence. Yeah,
totally. It's such a blessing. It breaks the sound barrier. It breaks the monkey chatter barrier. There's no one that gets more excited, whether it's about a pen, a marker, a collage, an artist, something in history, a truth teacher, a truth teaching, something he saw. There's no one who lights. I've never met someone who lights up visibly, audibly, viscerally like Darrell. And so he is like a lie detector, a truth detector, because when he feels
truth detector.
And if he's not feeling the truth, forget it. He's not interested. So yeah, big love to Darrell. I'm super excited to have him back next week. I mean, what a blessing for me. It's just even having you. I don't want to just hear myself talk. I do my best to share truth. But there's the blessing of this show is having when he's sharing the truth. It's opening my mind to new truth, and when I'm sharing the truth, so the synergy of that, and just like when you came on, I just light up because when two or more are gathered type thing, when two or more are gathered, that energy of like back and forth, it grows exponentially. So thank you for being that for us today.
Well, all of that is true, and you did a great job in the first half I think you can do the great job because of all the prep work you and Darrell have done together. He could do the same thing if he had to. He would, because you're still representing each other even when you're alone, and that works. Dude, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and when I'm done here, you're just reminding me. The only thing I'm going to tell myself is, "Wow, Ed, you did an amazing job." Wow,
Boom.
Ed, like the monkeys are already trying to swing. I ain't got time for that. I'm gonna go play a song. I'm going to go eat some food. I'm going to get a coffee. Wayne and I don't have time for monkey mind. When it comes up, we bless it.
Maybe even go write a song. It's time to start writing.
Dude, I wrote that down earlier. I can't believe you're saying it. I'm feeling that inspiration. Hey, Sue Hodgson, thank you for joining us. Let's see. I also have a story for you, Wayne, and a song. But I want to say, Cranky Pants said, what a great show. Thank you. Rod Schweitzer said, Eddie B. Thank you, Rod. I love you. I feel you. Lois Conklin said, I'm with you this afternoon. It was a great time. Well, thank you, everyone out there. So let's see what I got. I found a story about Wayne Manning. I think actually Darrell found it in the local paper. So apparently Wayne Manning called his wife and said, don't worry, I'm fine. But as I was driving to lunch, a bird hit my windshield. His wife was shocked. Oh, no. How much damage did it do? Wayne assured her, not much, but I got a ticket. His wife asked, how on earth did you get a ticket? Wayne responded, well, I managed to reach the bird through the window and throw it behind me, but it hit the windshield of a highway patrol officer. The officer gave me a ticket. His wife was confused. For damaging his windshield? Wayne replied, no, for flipping him the bird.
Only Darrell.
Only Darrell. Well, I don't even know if I got the pipes to sing this right now, but you might know it. Let's see if I've been drinking. Oh, Wayne, have you ever heard of this concoction that Elton John uses? By the way, anyone who sings, it's water, apple cider vinegar, lemon, and if you want honey, and you heat it up to like, he says as hot as he learned it from Russell. What's his name? Leon Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to use that in the studio in Nashville.
I thought you might, because it's the more I hear people, there's a lot of other heads out there who know it.
It cuts through everything. When you're singing over and over and over multiple takes,
Yeah.
it really helps soothe and cut through the stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'll do a song that's like, especially if it's high on my register, and if I'm recording it like 10 times, and then, you know, it starts to tense up or whatever, I take one sip of that. It's smooth as butter. It's amazing. So anyone
Yeah.
out there, it probably work for you if you're a speaker or a singer. It's just water, apple cider vinegar, lemon, and honey if you like, and heat it up pretty hot and gargle it and swallow it and see what happens. But there was a great group. Actually, you might have even known this crew by the name of Fleetwood Mac. And they said, if you wake up, don't want to smile, if it takes just a little while, open your eyes and look at the day. You'll see things in a different way. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. It'll soon be here. It'll be here better than before. 'Cause yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone. Keep rehearsing the good stuff. Wayne Manning, we love you. Have a great day, everyone. DarrellandEd.com. Wherever the heck else you find us, we love you. Have a great week.
Thank you, man.
All right, Wayne. We did it, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh,
It's
my
always
God.
it's always a joy.
Yeah, we'll do more, and then we'll talk music more someday, too. I might just give you a call someday if you don't mind, just to chat about music.
Of course, it'd be great.
I'll send you the song as soon as I write it as well, because I can feel it coming. Actually, I wrote down a title earlier today called Let It Move. Let It Move. It's got to let it
Do it.
move, man. All right.
Do it.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Take care.